J damage, J damage, J damage, J damage, J damage, J damage.
Hey yo, this is LB, and you're watching J Damage TV. Hey yo, this is LB, and this is the process of how I make a beat. Alright, so first thing I did, what I usually do is I hear something that I like. I've been playing a lot of Street Fighter 4. I like all the intros they got for all the Street Fighter characters and shit. They did a pretty good job on it. And one that stood out the most to me is this nigga Fei Long. And his beat was pretty badass. And I love that flute whistle right there. That's called a Chinese flute whistle right there. And the sound of it is so different from anything else I've ever fucked with, like the Fruity Loops or anything else. And I thought that was badass. Since I couldn't find the instrument, I decided to sample this beat right here. And a lot of people will probably recognize this part here as the beginning of the Fei Long beat. Alright, well, the first thing I did, I downloaded the whole entire song on the Fruity Loops real quick. So I downloaded the whole entire song, and I can push it like this, and I can play it. No problem. So then the next part was isolating the parts that I was going to use for the sample. And I used this thing called SliceX here. Here you'll see the whole entire beat. This is the whole entire beat right here. And this part that's highlighted is the part that I sampled. So once we got that sample isolated and whatever, I take it back over here to the playlist, and then I put it to work. See, and I like having this, so it's at my fingertips, so if anything's wrong with it, I can hear it automatically, like, wait, that don't sound right, let me go back and fix it, See, no problem. So then next thing I did was I tried to make it so when I play it, it would loop perfectly. And as you can see, if I play it right now, it will loop perfectly. You see, usually when you want to make something loop perfectly, you gotta make sure at the end, it doesn't sound like it's tripping over itself. It just sounds like the loop is actually a part of what it's supposed to be. So as you can see, it goes da-na, da-na, then right back to it. No tripping, no skipping or anything. That's a perfect loop. Right. And once I get everything situated and how I want it, what we do next is I add instruments to make it, make the beat itself. For this one, I use 808. It's pretty big, pretty decent. You probably can't hear it, but it's like doo-doo, doo-doo. Once you get that settled, you get a clap going. Where's the clap at? Yeah, there's a clap right there. It's simple clap, See, everything sounds, like kind of out of whack because they're not all together, working together at the same time. But once you put everything together, it's gonna sound beautiful. Now, usually what I do when I'm making a sample beat or whatever, I usually keep the original in the beginning. Like the intro will be the original where I got it from. So when people hear it, they'll be like, oh, so that's what it was. So this is the intro from where I sliced it. Then it goes into the part where I loop. A few little sound effects, and there you go. See, there's the two loops here, and make sure they're side by side so when they loop into each other, they loop into something different every time. And down there, you got the clap, you got your beat, you got your tip 1, tip 2, crasher, and your little triangle. I like to name them all different things, so when I'm making a beat, I don't, lose track of what the hell I'm putting down. That shit right there, man, gets annoying as hell when you like making a beat and you're like, fuck, where's the clap at? So I just make sure I mark them, I label them, and give them all colors so I know which one is doing what. the verse 1, verse 2, intro, sound effects. Jada, that's my niece's name. She's you'll hear her a lot, like on a lot of my tracks and shit. Like this is her.
LB.
Yeah, so she's like my main like trademark thing, and you know that's how I do it. I put it together, and the first thing you gotta do when you're making a sample beat, man, you usually gotta make sure you got the hook and the verse is synced up perfectly. Like if there's gonna be like I don't know, like a 16 bar verse, you gotta make sure to count out 16 bars, because otherwise people be writing 16 bar raps for a 12-second long thing. You know, that's where you gotta. That's why really the foundation of making the beat is making sure the verses and the hooks are all synced up perfectly. Everything's cool. So when you bring it to somebody to rap to, you know, they like, oh, okay, so this is 16 bars. Let me write 16, and they can flow through it perfectly. And by the time it gets to their 16 bars, you know, the hook comes right back in, like, you know. Yeah, so that's pretty much how I made this beat and whatever. I know a lot of people probably got different methods of how they do it. I actually took a lot of the samples and whatever. I put them in this program called Audacity. It's a really good program for making sure you isolate where you want your the sample to go, how you want the hook to go, how you want it to loop it. It's a real good program, so you don't have to keep opening up Fruity Loops, opening up SciSex, and keep hitting it and 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 hitting it. Get it right, So yeah, that's pretty much how I did it.
LB.
J Damage, J Damage, J Damage, J Damage, J Damage.